Don't let me laugh. Hola, Timothy Phoenix here. Welcome to my blog, which is all about rising from the flames of adversity to create your dream life using the law of attraction. Today I have another amazing special guest with me. If you'd like to introduce yourself and just say what it is you're doing here on the beautiful island of Koh Samui in Thailand.
My name's Eva. I'm only here on Koh Samui for a few days. I'm actually heading over to Koh Phangan to assist in offering a yoga teacher training.
So what is it that brought you over to this part of the world exactly?
It's kind of been a long journey. I am from Canada and I ran a studio in Canada for a while, and then got the opportunity to go to Scotland for a job teaching yoga, and packed my bags and just went rather quickly. And then from there I got an opportunity to go to Mallorca, and then to Portugal, and then to Thailand. So this has all come about really quite quickly, and for a really, really long time I've wanted to teach yoga teacher trainings. I've taught yoga for 10 years. So it's something that I'm still just getting comfortable with, but it's been really, in a way, unexpected and really exciting, and I'm kind of just going with it.
Best way.
Yeah.
Best way, I'm telling you. Let's talk about this transformation you've had and this, how you got into yoga, because it's a really interesting story. And by the way, we only met, what, yesterday we met?
Last night.
It was last night, yeah. For some reason it seems longer than that.
Yeah, it does.
We met last night through a personal friend who I also have only met recently here. And yeah, we've been hanging around the Casa resort here in Thailand, the yoga resort. And yeah, I thought I would ask Eva to come and do a video with me, because we both have a background of anxiety, and I want her to tell her story about how she overcame it. It's very different to my story, so away you go. Tell me about your anxiety first of all.
It was very, very obvious from the time I think I was about 13 that I was struggling with anxiety. I was having panic attacks, and a lot of it stemmed from this feeling of perfectionism and not feeling good enough, and that was really coming from an internal pressure more than any other real strong external pressure in my life. And yeah, started having more panic attacks and breakdowns than that 13, 14-year-old should have. And so my stepmother for my birthday got me a 10-class pass and a yoga mat, and I distinctly remember rolling my eyes and thinking, oh, this is bullshit. And then going to my first class, and first of all, I'm asthmatic, and I think that is related to my anxiety, because when you can't breathe, it triggers all of these stress responses of panic in your body. So I think that was one of my prime connections to yoga, was the breathing, was that you're always moving with your breath, whereas a lot of other forms of physical fitness, I felt like I couldn't breathe. And then just the relaxation. I remember my first Shavasana, and I think that kind of sealed the deal. So I started practicing when I was 15. Some hatha at first. I actually really liked Kundalini, a little bit of Ashtanga, and then got the opportunity to do my yoga teacher training when I was 17. So I did it quite young.
Very young.
Yeah, I did it the summer before my last year of high school, so I taught yoga down the street from my high school my last year, and then I taught through university. But still the anxiety was kind of a constant source, and especially through university when you have the pressure of papers, and I would call my mom crying because I got an A- on a
A-?
I know.
Oh my god.
It was bad. Yeah, I think I just really didn't feel settled in myself, and then when I graduated university when I was 23, I opened a yoga studio with a business partner in a town that was far away from my family, and I did a lot of adulting really fast. And I was 23, 24, I was in a 7-year relationship with a really good guy, and we had a mortgage, we had a dog, I was running a business. I had just gone to India.
A dog?
Yeah, the dog. I miss the dog. Yeah, so I just kind of grew up, I think, a little too quick in those years. And I went to India and did 6 weeks in a training in an ashram, which you can't suppress any of your stuff. It's right on the surface, and my anxiety was getting a lot worse. And it was the worst when I got home from India, having done my training. I was really having a hard time coping, and this is when I was running the studio, and I kind of felt like a fraud that I was talking about mindfulness and had a really hard time getting out of bed in the morning. And I think I just knew some things weren't right, but I didn't know how to express or deal with that yet. So at that point, panic attacks were getting worse, and I started seeing a psychotherapist who helped me a lot, and I was really, really pressured by my doctor to go on anti-anxiety medications. And she said, oh, you'll only need to be on it for 2 or 3 years. And it's not that I have no judgment of anyone who finds support in that. I don't think that's wrong or anything. I just knew that I had my practice and I had this resource that I could draw on. So I started moving a lot of my studies as a yoga teacher into understanding anxiety and the nervous system, and restorative yoga became my favorite, because restorative yoga is based on bringing the body not into a stretch, but just a pose of complete and total comfort, which allows a recalibration from the fight or flight response into the rest and digest, which basically allows your body to be recovered from all of the really demanding impacts of stress and anxiety. And helps your breath, your heart rate, your immune system, your digestive system, all of the stuff that's suppressed when we're in these states. And the more that you habitualize this relaxation response, the easier it becomes to access. And yeah, there's a lot to it. So I really believe restorative yoga is one of the best things for people for anxiety. But when you are very, very anxious and you have this frenetic energy in your body, you do not want to sit still and lay in a bolster pillow and pretend that you're relaxed.
Exactly.
So there's lots of different techniques that I draw on. Breathing is probably the biggest one. I think it's the quickest way to work yourself out of these conflictive states is to just breathe. And that doesn't mean that it's easy, but it's always available to you, no matter what situation, what environment, what conversation you're in.
It's underrated, isn't it?
It really is.
Really,
it's magic.
people don't think about what it can actually do for you.
Yeah.
Actually, so it's something that I'm just starting to get more into now. I mean, I don't really have the anxiety now, but I'm starting to get into pranayama and these breathing exercises. So ask me again in a couple of weeks how that's going.
Yeah.
I've only just started.
I mean, and it doesn't have to be any complicated technique to relax the nervous system. If you're breathing not so much to the chest, more to the diaphragm, and you're lengthening your exhalation, just that alone starts to move you in the right direction. Myofascial release is my other favorite. It's using rubber ball techniques. You can do self-to-self massage, and I really like Bo Forbes' work. She's a clinical psychologist and yoga therapist, and her approach is that anxiety and depression are disorders of disembodiment. You're inherently disconnected from your mind and your body when you're in these states.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
And you come back to the body, and it doesn't always feel safe at first, but if you kind of take your time with it, you quickly come back to yourself and you feel safe eventually. So yeah, I started teaching classes on yoga for anxiety to the Canadian Mental Health Association in my town. They went really well, and we used these techniques of a little bit of breathing at the beginning, a little bit of movement to just work out restlessness, a little bit of the self-massage work, because that really brings you out of your mind and into your body. And then I could put them in a restorative yoga pose, and they weren't restless and they weren't as resistant. They could really go to that place. So it's really funny because I kind of studied it as this intellectual thing, but along the way that really, really helped me. And there was different realizations I had to come to in myself too, that I have a habit of always having a backup plan and an escape pod to my life, and you know, that I no longer try to make decisions about running away from any situation, but running towards myself and towards my happiness. And so yeah, it was a gradual process, and I wouldn't say that I've completely overcome it, because I think I'll definitely have anxious moments in my life, but I'm able now to see them as visitors rather than constant. It's kind of like a visitor that shows up, says hello, and I'm able to kind of breathe and usually shift out of it.
I think we all have those anxious moments, and we're always going to have those anxious moments, whether you suffered from it as a disorder or not.
Yeah.
And for me, I still have them. I had one a few weeks ago. I had a bit of an episode when I first arrived here, and it nearly caused me to go home and eat the whole island.
Would have been a shame.
Yeah, it would have been a shame. We never would have met.
Yeah.
And it kind of made me realise that anxiety perhaps doesn't ever totally leave anyone, but it can certainly get better. I mean, I'm way better than I was, put it that way. But when something like that comes up, it means there's something you need to look at. So rather than running away from it, it's kind of like you say, just you've got to kind of face it head on and kind of deal with it. But now I have the tools that I can use to kind of work my way through it. I can face it head on, and I'm able to do that. And it took just a couple of days really for me to kind of tune into that and just realise what these thoughts actually are.
Yeah.
And I know yoga helps people do that, but it's not the only technique. There's other things you can do, but yoga is tied into kind of.
And the difference of going to one yoga class a week where you're getting really, really stressed out, you go to yoga, and then that chills you out a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Bo uses this idea of kind of just constant little interventions of I'm starting to get a little bit stressed out. Okay, I'm going to do 5 minutes of breathing, or I'm going to do a little body scan, or I'm going to do a little myofascial release, or just starting to incorporate these techniques into our lives where it doesn't have to happen on the dimensions of a yoga mat or within this one scheduled hour, that it starts to be something that we can work with regularly. I always say that 5 minutes of practice consistently throughout your day is so much better than an hour a week.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think in terms of building a habit as well, every day. You got to do something every day. 5 minutes, it's like you say, 5 minutes every day to build a habit. It's far more likely to happen than 1 hour a week. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I think when it comes to overcoming things like anxiety and depression, it's all up here, and so, but if you don't start practicing every day to kind of eradicate it, and what most people do is they're trying to cope with it. They're not looking to get rid of it, and that's the difference, I think, with the people who actually overcome it than the people who have it their whole lives and they're just dealing with it. And a lot of people have this belief that they have got it for life. It's a disease, or it's something that it's genetic, or you've just got to live with it for your whole life, which we can attest to that it's not true. And that's one of the big messages I always try to get out about anxiety. Anxiety is always there for everyone. It's natural. It's the body, the brain. It's a natural response.
And there's an intelligence to it too, because in a dangerous situation we need all of these responses, but we also need to be able to tell the difference between a dangerous situation and something that's just kind of a silly source of stress in our lives. But our body, our breathing, everything reacts in the same way, whether it's a severe danger or whether it's something kind of insignificant.
There's an airplane going over now, so we might have to just wait a little bit while this happens. There's all sorts going on. There's drilling, there's airplanes, but we're going to get through this. I want to move on to the law of attraction.
Okay.
And we were discussing this last night. Why are you laughing?
I laughed last night when you said I'd like to interview you tomorrow on the law of attraction, and I broke out laughing.
Oh
because,
yeah, of course, yeah.
It was something that I always used to roll my eyes at, and then in the last couple months I've had so many different random conversations and situations come up around it that you start getting so many messages you can't ignore.
Exactly. And this is what happened to me as well. I rolled my eyes at law of attraction. We're never into anything spiritual at all. And then once I started reading about it and trying to really get into it, I was searching for something.
Yeah.
But I was still skeptical, for a long while, for at least a year, maybe 2 years. I was still iffy about it. And then, as you say, people start to come into my life, and they nearly always seem to be, everyone knew I was meeting significant seemed to have some sort of connection with the law of attraction. So I dismissed it at first. It was like, okay, it could be total coincidence. And to be fair, I wasn't meeting that many people because I was holed up with anxiety. But since I've been out here, it's just exploded. And well, you'll know if you follow the blog, and I've been interviewing people non-stop and meeting people all the time, every single week since I've been here. And so it didn't surprise me that you've come into my life. But yeah, it's happening more and more, I find. I don't think it's a coincidence anymore. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. Yeah.
Tell me about your experiences with the law of attraction. How did you find out about it, first of all? How long have you kind of known about it?
You know, I've kind of been in this space of yoga for like 12 years now, so it's always something that was kind of floating around me, but like I said, always something I would take a little sarcastically.
Even as a yogi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the secret stuff was really quite cheesy.
I did as well.
Yeah.
The movie, I think, is pretty cheesy.
Oh, it's so cheesy.
It's very cheesy.
So cheesy. But yeah, I only really kind of started working with it, actually, I would say this January.
Oh, really? That's the same as me,
yeah. My roommate in Scotland, who's a fellow Canadian yoga teacher, hosted a workshop. Her name's Yoga with Piper. And it was on creating your vision board and yoga practice and setting intention. And I'm always telling people to set intention. I teach Yoga Nidra, where you start with setting your sankalpa and your intention. And I'm really crap at setting intention for myself. Saying to my best friend last fall that, you know, I kind of feel like I'm just making a stream of unconscious decisions. And she said, I'm pretty sure that's just your 20s. But, you know, I don't have a strong sense of intention in my life, although I do more and more have a clear idea of the style of work that I want to be doing and the kind of people that I want to work with and the kind of places that I want to live. So I think a lot of it kind of happened by elimination, more than having kind of a clear set goal. I think being someone who's naturally such a perfectionist, it kind of scares me to set goals because there's a fear of whether or not you can achieve it and attaching that to your self-worth, right? But anyway, I took her workshop and made my first vision board, and actually I had to leave, unfortunately, during it. I think I was teaching or something, and I had the whole basket of magazines all to myself that night at our flat, and just went to town for a couple hours, and it was really liberating. And at that moment in my life, intellectually, I knew I wasn't going to stay at that job more than 6 months. I wanted to stay till June, and in my mind, intellectually, I just moved home to Canada. And there were things pulling me back there, but they didn't really feel right. And then I started making this vision board, and it's really funny because it has lots of pieces that look like my life now.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
That's what you do a vision board for.
A section that looks a lot like Mallorca, which is somewhere I just spent a month teaching a teacher training. There's a section that looks like Bali in Thailand. There's a section that looks a lot like the last month I just spent in a vineyard in Portugal. And there's other stuff too, kind of relationship-wise and career-wise, and it's been quite amazing to really watch it develop. So, yeah.
Do you want to talk about those things as well? What else has come through from the board?
You know, I had some stuff about practice and yoga therapy and yoga teaching on there, and for a really, really long time, because I think I was 17 when I did my first teacher training, I never really felt like people took me seriously. Even, you know, when I was kind of 23 and 25 and running my own business, you know, people would always kind of be like, oh, how old are you? So I always had this confidence issue with teaching yoga teachers, and I've kind of finally gotten over that because I have been teaching for 10 years, and I just taught my first yoga teacher training 2 months ago, and it was really, really frigging cool to work with people from day one to seeing them teach really wonderful classes at the end. So career-wise and travel-wise, you know, I I didn't move home to Canada in June, and you know, my family calls and says, "Are you ever coming home?" I'll come home to visit sooner or later. But it's really quite interesting because I've always had to, you know, have a very clear, distinct plan, and I tend to get a lot of fear about money as well, and
That's my big one.
yeah, you know, and this sense of independence of I have to take care of myself, and it's really funny because I don't like depending or leaning on other people, but I've found so much support just surround me in the last few months of, you know, my yoga mat bag broke and I left my mat in Portugal and I got a new mat today as a gift.
Yeah.
And just all of these crazy little things, and mostly the people that I've met in the last few months that you know, just some of the most incredible conversations and connections where it's really scary to continually move to places where you do not know a single person. This is kind of the third time I've done that, and I've been here 3 days and I've already made 2 really good friends. So it's wonderfly unexpected, and I think it takes a lot of trust.
Are you talking about me?
You're included. But it's so cool how it happens. And for me, it takes a certain amount of letting go and not overthinking.
Yeah, that's the hard thing.
Yeah.
Because most of us, we want to have control over what's happening in our lives, but actually that control is actually stopping you
Yeah.
getting the good stuff.
Yeah.
You have to let go and just allow what's going to come your way to happen, and just trust that good stuff is going to happen. And that's something, trust has been the big thing for me over the past couple of weeks actually. Just trusting the process, that it's going to happen. Just let it happen and don't try and force it, don't try and worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't try and plan every single step of the way.
Absolutely.
And that's really hard to do when you're perfectionist. Most people who have anxiety are perfectionists. And so it's really hard to step out of that. Even though I don't have anxiety now, it's really hard to step out of that anyway. I'm much better than I was though, put it that way. And things just come.